I've received a question as pertaining to why good things or bad things happen to good people. Why would there be, and why would God allow children to be molested and people to be raped and all those things? Now, there's an assumption there, and that is that God allows that. There's an assumption in the question, why would God allow that? Or why would God not supernaturally come and just come in with angels and stop all harm? Now, the moment we say that, we are trying to be something we are not. And we're actually expecting God to act towards us outside of our design, outside of the original plan that He had with man. We need to realize that God told Adam and Eve not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for if they eat of it, they will surely die. And that death is not just a death. It is a death that would come because of destruction that would come to this planet and this earth, and the way people will deal with one another and act towards one another on account of evil that will start to set in people's hearts through the logic of the devil. So what I'm saying is that God warned man and said to man, don't eat of that tree. So it wasn't God that said it should be like that. It was a decision, or it was a belief from Adam and Eve that brought this into the world. And what God then said to Adam and Eve was, and what He said Himself is, let us not allow man to go back into the garden and eat of the tree of life, lest he lives forever, and then I want to add there, in this misery. So in other words, what God was doing is He was actually not allowing it forever, to live forever. And He would make an end to it. So He gave man a choice and freedom, and we will talk about that now. But He gave man that choice, and from that choice, man brought darkness into the world. Then God incarnated Himself into that darkness in Jesus Christ. He came and conquered our sin, conquered our death, so that the plan that He had from the beginning, which is eternal, immortal life, inside the bliss and protection and safety of who He is, can also be in this earth. That's what He did. So, first point, God didn't allow it, Adam did, and God came to save man from that. Now, we can now say, God, why don't You just supernaturally stop things? Now, where would we draw the line? Because if we say, God, why don't You supernaturally stop a molestation? Why don't You supernaturally stop a trigger of being pulled and all those things all the time? Then we have to go even further. Why don't You stop people from speeding? Why don't You stop people from smoking? Why don't You stop people from doing all these things? And eventually you'll end with, God, why didn't You stop me from spilling tea in my lap? So it is, at the end of the day, we are desiring a design. We want a design which is outside of who and what we are. We are not robots. We are humans that God wants a relationship with. We say the very same thing with our kids. No one of us is going to tie our kid down to a place and supernaturally all the time come and save him from everything that would harm him, because he would say, get out of my life, because I want to live my own life, because there is a freedom. So I think we need to see things in that perspective. Obviously, that's a very difficult question to ask, but I trust that this would help you. God bless.